Though I know I should be wary, I still venture somewhere scary. It's Rebooty and the Beast, a podcast in two parts. I'm Ann Burke.
And I'm Matt Molinaro, and in the first few episodes, we reviewed some older pieces of media, the original, and then a reboot. This is actually in a three-part series, so you're welcome, and here we are to discuss
and kind of
a reboot.
Kind of out of order, like a little bit out of sequence, too, because we went like 1988 or whatever year the original Beetlejuice came out, and then we did the 2024 movie, and now we're going back to like 89 or 90 for the cartoon.
We're little time travelers, which makes me think, A, Back to the Future, there's got to be rebooty vibes there. We're going to have to do Back to the Future.
At some point, probably. I mean, was there ever like a TV show or anything like that?
There's got to have been some kind of reboot try. And you know what? If not, we're just going to do some sequels and do a Back to the Future situation in the future, because I loved that movie.
Okay.
Anyway, but... That's not.
I don't remember it very much, so it might be a semi-new. I mean, I remember it, but it's been a long time since I've seen it.
Ooh, we watched it. We watched the first one like maybe a few years ago. I don't know why.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we do this thing sometimes. It's been a while, but we have a jar, Davey and I, of
oh, I remember the jar.
Yeah, our movie jar of like just random movies that we've liked or that we've wanted to see or that we wanted the other person to see or whatever. And so there are definitely just some like feel good, classic movies in there, like Back to the Future or Forrest Gump or those vibes. So I think it was one of those.
Yeah. Oh, fun.
Yeah. But
well,
this is Beetlejuice.
Yes, today is the original Beetlejuice cartoon. I didn't actually. Do you know when it came out?
Yeah, it ran from 89 to 91. I think it was 3 or 4 seasons, actually.
Yeah, there's a surprising number of episodes. And did you watch this as a kid? Because I definitely did.
Oh my gosh, yes, after school, all the time.
Yeah, I remember liking it, but also apparently at 10 years old or whatever, my tastes have changed a bit over time.
Have or have not?
Have.
Why? Why would you say that?
Oh, I don't know. Well, okay. I mean, I think we mentioned this in one of the previous episodes, but making the Beetlejuice movie into a cartoon in the first place was kind of a weird choice.
I agree.
Like, as we recall from our discussion of the movies, Beetlejuice himself is only in it for a few minutes, and he's kind of a sex pest pervert.
In the movie.
In the movie,
yeah.
Yes.
I was going to say, not in the children's cartoon whatsoever, though. He's just a pig. He's just a big old...
He's just a pig.
Gross pig.
Yeah, they really changed him from like a sexual predator to just kind of like a gross, grody, gross man.
Yeah, he's less of like a trickster demon spirit thing and more of just a good old prankster.
Yeah.
Fart jokes... Bad breath.
Lots of fart jokes,
gross
bad
out
breath
humor.
jokes, body odor, all of that sort of stuff. I will say one thing I really did like. I really enjoyed the opening theme song, which my quote comes from.
Oh, me too. I love it. That really took me back right away. Like the art style, the opening. Instantly, I was like making pizza rolls and avoiding my homework.
Maybe that's what I should have done while I watched this, was like bagel bites.
Right. I didn't I didn't know
Go
that
ahead.
Tim Burton was involved in this.
Yeah, he was executive producer. I mean, I kind of doubt he had a strong hand in the cartoon, but who knows?
I mean, made a buck.
Yeah, for sure. So this was 89 to 91. It doesn't really star anyone from the movie. And I'm imagining, did you look up the plot summary on IMDb or anything?
I did. Let's see. It's, it's a TV series and it's a cartoon series. So it's very vague, but it's broad, I should say. It says,
okay.
Adventures of the ghostly con artist and his 12-year-old pal, Lydia.
Okay, con artist seems accurate.
Yeah, I would say. Like a ne'er-do-well.
Yes, a trickster, a prankster, a scamp, a scallywag.
A cad.
A cad, yes. All of those.
I was trying to look up really quickly because it's mainly two characters. It's mainly Beetlejuice and Lydia. You get,
Yeah,
little takes on everybody. You get Delia and Charles, but that's kind of, I would say, it.
kind of it.
You know?
Yeah.
Um,
Well, there were some people that creatures, I guess I would say, that I definitely remembered from like when they appeared on screen that I think were in more than one episode.
oh, yes, like that skeleton guy.
Yes, the French skeleton, the tap dancing spider.
Yes. Yes, you're absolutely right. You're right. In this, we really only get the main two characters. I'm trying to see if the voice actors did anything else that I'm super familiar with.
I mean, probably, because I feel like voice actors for cartoons are so prolific, because there's like cartoons and video games and things like that, if you're a decent voice artist, you probably are doing lots of things.
Yeah, it's Alison Court as Lydia and Stephen Ouimet. That's how I'm going to say it. As Beetlejuice.
I will say, he did a pretty good impression of Michael Keaton's Beetlejuice.
Oh my gosh, right?
Yeah, there was especially sometimes like when at the end of the episode where he was like, not end, but kind of middle of the episode where the police were going to arrest him, that he really sounded like Michael Keaton's Beetlejuice. It was pretty impressive.
Yeah, he is very spot on with that. And it looks like this is kind of his main thing. I mean, he's done a bunch of voice acting, but this is what he's most known for.
Okay.
Besides being in Babar.
Oh my God, Babar.
What a change.
Yeah, that's a very big tonal shift.
Yeah. Alison Court looks like she has a much more prolific career in voice acting. She's Jubilee in the original X-Men.
Oh my God, the minute you said Alison Court, I was like, that sounds familiar. Oh my gosh, yes, of course.
I could die a happy man now. Okay. So yeah,
hot take. I loved Jubilee in the original X-Men cartoons. I know that that's not often a popular opinion, but I loved her.
I didn't like mind her in the original cartoons back in the day. I love her now, retrospectively. Okay. But I remember thinking, like, what is your deal? Like, you in my memory, she just kind of like made colors happen.
There was
and broke things.
Hard disagrees. She did break things. But there was an episode where she like busted through a steel wall with her fireworks, which I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah, but there was also probably an episode where she like broke a fax machine.
Yes, definitely. I feel like you know how sometimes in those like supernaturally shows, there's like I feel like they refer to it as like power scaling issues, where it's like their powers can do a lot more in some episodes than in others. I feel like that's really true of Jubilee's, because sometimes it's just like sparklers, and then other times she's like busting through steel walls with it.
Yeah, and they needed to make a decision. And I think
yes,
the best part about Jubilee for me growing up was her outfit.
Oh yeah, that jacket and the shorts. It was great.
And the goggles. Didn't she have goggles on her head?
She had like big, oversized Angie K from Real Housewives of Salt Lake City pink sunglasses.
Yes. It was giving me like Kid Vid from the Burger King Kids Club.
Yes. Anyway, we should do X-Men at some point, because I feel like that would be like, I feel like a 10-part series or something, depending on everything we pick for it.
Oh, 100%. I think we would have to start with like a few pieces of media and then just continually revisit, because spoiler alert for anyone out there, we absolutely loved the newer X-Men.
Oh, I know.
So good.
Maybe we could do like cartoon to cartoon comparison and then decide whether we want to do any of the movies or something.
Oh, yes. Yes. Speaking of things that we're rebooting and talking about, Beetlejuice.
Should we get back to the actual thing we're reviewing? Yeah.
It was a little... Okay, so I think during spooky season, this was made available on streaming platforms. And it seems... I didn't double check. I took your word for it. But it seems as though it's been sort of pulled. So we just did one episode for this episode.
Yes. And so I don't know, listeners, if you'll be able to find it through other means at this point, but use your creativity if you want to go out there and watch the original Beetlejuice cartoon. Yeah,
and if you love what we talk about in this episode and you want us to revisit Beetlejuice in the future and do some other episodes, more than happy to. But for this one, we'll just do the premiere episode. season 1.
I don't know if I'd
Episode
I'd go as far as more than happy to, but
I
we
would be
for
delighted
you.
to take another trip down memory lane. These are shorties.
They are well. It was short, but maybe I was in a mood when I watched it or something because it
You?
felt really long to me. How dare you? How
You
dare
felt
you.
like something that we watched was way too long.
The person who likes to watch things at 1.5 speed. Oh,
Yeah,
I wonder
right.
if I could have done that. I didn't even check. Damn it.
Oh my gosh, you kill me. Okay, so episode 1 is called Critter Sitters, and I think you kind of get the vibe of how all of these shows are going to be. I mean, just from the first episode.
Yeah, like Lydia is, of course, the voice of reason and like normal and all of that sort of stuff. And Beetlejuice gets into trouble and they kind of work together to solve the problem, sort of thing.
I loved how they instantly tried to like pull you in and hook you with all the Beetlejuice stuff right away from the movie. They're singing like Deo in their own way, both of them, as soon as you see them on the screen. It's exactly the same set, the house, even the little bridge. Again, though, all these Beetlejuice reboots just throw away the Gina Davis and Baldwin character.
Oh, yeah. Why aren't they in the show? Or in the cartoon?
Just discarded. And arguably, the best part, Beetlejuice won. Part of the best part is them.
And I was wondering, do you think Otho... I can't remember if Otho makes an appearance in the show.
Ooh, you know what? I bet he doesn't, because I have a little list of the characters from the show.
Okay.
And Otho is missing.
Oh,
we don't get Otho. We don't get what are their names in the original movie?
Like Linda and
Barbara
Paul
and
or something?
Something.
Barbara and Greg. Gary.
Barbara and oh my gosh. Alan? Adam?
Alan and Barbara. That sounds right.
Yeah. Anyway, they're gone, but instead we have characters like Germs, Pond Scum, and Fuzzo the Clown.
Yes, yeah. I feel like they definitely made it more appealing to children with kind of more whimsical characters than human dead people.
Yeah. I do love the sandworm artwork in the show.
It's good.
Okay. So we're set up to see that this show is supposed to be 1 year after the events from the movie, it says.
Yeah, because Beetlejuice says it's his anniversary with Lydia and he wants to buy her a present. Mm-hmm. And immediately my adult brain went, oh no, did they make him still in a relationship with Lydia in the cartoon? But even though he talks about their anniversary, it's more of a friendiversary because they're best friends in the cartoon.
Yes, they have, as we know, Lydia likes the strange and unusual because she is that herself. And so in this, she has become like, can't wait to rush home and get to her like dark world in her little room, which, listen, if that's not appealing to every little queer person in the world, can't wait to run home in the 90s and shut the door and just escape into your own little world. Now I know why I was watching this nonstop.
I liked too the how the like initial problem that has her summon Beetlejuice is that Delia redecorated her room with like sunshine yellow coloring. Mm-hmm. And Lydia's like, oh, absolutely not. And so she summons Beetlejuice to basically turn her bedroom back into like a bell tower full of bats and spiders and spooky things.
Yes.
But I love that it was the difference is I want to redecorate, so I'm going to summon my best friend from the dead.
Yeah. And I also love that when he speaking of the redecorating undead Beetlejuice, I like his red nails.
Oh, I didn't notice his nails.
He's got red nails through the whole episode, and he's got these little kind of Chelsea boots on, kind of like the Grumble. What was his name in All Real Monsters?
I was about to say the Grundle, but I know that that's from Cards Against Humanity.
I was gonna say the Grumble.
I think it is the Grumble. The Grumble or the Grumble.
But those little boots, those little heels.
Yes.
These were kind of like in that vein, but like little boots. I was like, okay, Beetlejuice, I like your style.
Yeah, it was cute. I loved Lydia's poncho, the like spidery webbed red poncho. I thought that was really fun too.
Oh, yes. When the show started, I was like, oh, I could swear I remember her being like always in that, but I forget she like oscillates between the little, black and white sort of dead school child. Look.
Yes.
I like the art. The artwork really took me back to that. It was so like, what show did it remind me of? Bobby's World, kind of.
Oh, I forgot about Bobby's World. Good memory.
What did I do besides watch television as a child? But yeah, I really liked that kind of like artwork style, and I also like that when she transforms like into her little poncho that you're talking about, the little red spiderweb thing. It kind of gave me like a little magical girl transformation moment.
Oh, a little spooky Sailor Moon almost.
Yeah, a little mini spooky Sailor Moon, sparkly, here's my little flare moment. And if I wasn't obsessed with one of those transformations, and still am. Hello.
I do really like the artwork in this cartoon. I feel like they do a really good job of like honoring Tim Burton's style. Like there's no straight lines to anything. I mean, once you get sort of Beetlejuice involved, and then they call it the Neither World involved, everything is whimsy, weird proportions and curvy lines and sort of oddly distorted. And I feel like they really kept to that in the cartoon too.
Agreed.
So Lydia has gotten a new job, and she is going to
babysit for $2 an hour.
I died the minute she said $2 an hour.
$2 an hour? You're gonna babysit? First of all, the second she has a job, Beetlejuice says yuck, and I was like, amen.
Big mood, yeah.
$2 an hour.
But $2 an hour, that's the cheapest babysitter I've ever heard of. Also, I mean, in the cartoon, she seems like more like 12 years old or something like that, rather than like 16 or 14 or 15, whatever she was, whatever age Winona Ryder was in the movie. But she seems younger in the cartoon.
Yeah, I don't get the vibe that she's in high school in the cartoon.
No. So I guess if you were hiring like a 12-year-old back in 1990, maybe $2 an hour was reasonable. I don't know. It seems like very exploitative to me, but hey.
And listen, I know we're talking about a cartoon and I have to have some suspension of disbelief, but this is just how I do things here. So I say call the Better Business Bureau, call your parents, call the police. This is like child labor at best and absolutely undervaluing her.
Yes, agreed.
Actually, though, based on her babysitting skills, I think she should be fired instantly.
I mean, she did invite her friend from the dead and then get a baby kidnapped to the underworld. So I wouldn't pay her $2 an hour to babysit my child.
No, I have some hot takes about what this baby is going to go through later on.
Yes.
So
the baby seems to come out unscathed, though.
Maybe the $2 an hour was like, listen, we have no other option. Let's just help.
Yes.
Let's get the dead teenager next door to watch the baby.
Yeah. So this gives Beetlejuice an idea, because remember, he wants to buy a present for Lydia for their friendiversary. So he's like, oh, I'm going to open a babysitting service in the Neither World to earn money to buy her a present. And this goes about as well as you would expect. He, of course, immediately thinks that babysitting is sitting on babies, of course, and is
it not?
Basically, and they basically give him like a baby made of goo, I forget what the third little one is, but there's a goo baby, something else, and then there's a giant baby that's like bigger than the house.
Yeah, the middle baby doesn't get a lot of focus. I gotta be honest. I felt bad for that middle baby because it kind of was like random. It's like they decided a goo baby, they decided the big baby, and they're like, we need a third.
Yeah.
Who are you?
This does really make me want to watch All Real Monsters, because I really liked All Real Monsters, and I feel like it never got the love it deserved.
Same.
And I wish there was a reboot of that coming so that we could cover it on here.
Maybe there will be. Listen, it's the time for reboots, and that's definitely the demographic age of where they're pulling from. So
yeah.
In this little montage we get between the two,
yes,
though, we do get to see what you mentioned, that skeleton character and that little spider character. Gosh, what were their names? They were so cute. Instantly, as soon as I saw them, I was like, oh, Oh, I'm starting to remember some of these characters, you know?
Did you, I can look it up, but yeah, I definitely recognized them and was like, oh, of course, I remember those characters. And there was like the big sort of like brown fuzzy guy who like had maybe a dog on a leash sort of thing.
Yeah. And I feel like that judge that we see comes up again too.
Maybe, yeah.
But
okay, Jacques Laline is the French skeleton bodybuilder. Ginger, the tap dancing spider. The monster across the street is the tall, hairy monster who resembles Gossamer from Looney Tunes. I knew he looked familiar, and his pet dog Poopsie.
Jacques Laline. That character kind of reminds me of a character from like Animaniacs.
Yeah, kind of.
Anyway, I think it's that character that you always saw and like, this is a good idea, bad idea.
Oh, maybe, yeah.
Anyway, if anyone out there remembers that, and you're going, oh yeah, just send us a message if they were inspired by each other, because I'm sure all these cartoons inspired and spun off, and that creators from one went to another and were able to like do little Easter eggs like that.
So Beetlejuice comes to Lydia for help because his babysitting is not going well. And so she and the human baby go into the Nether world to help him out. And this is where things really go wrong because Beetlejuice accidentally says, I feel like a kid again, and then turns into a baby, which I don't remember Beetlejuice's powers being based on just like statements that he makes.
Yeah,
that was kind of like odd to me. Yeah, exactly. But somehow it turns him into a baby and he kind of like loses his situational awareness, I guess. And all the babies run amok, including they take the human baby and head for the mall because they want presents.
Bursting through doors, car accidents everywhere.
Yes.
This human baby in this upside down death world.
Dressed in like a biker
Lydia
costume
doing?
now, chasing them?
Not in as much of a panic as I think she should be. She has a human child.
Yeah.
She's like, oh man, this sucks.
Yeah.
Now I have to babysit all of them.
Yeah. But she gets to the mall and manages to trick Beetlejuice into saying, she says, will you grow up? And he says, me grow up. And then he grows up and is back to regular Beetlejuice, but not before they've caused a lot of havoc and panic. And the police show up and order all the babies to come out with their hands up, and they all cry and blame Beetlejuice for this. And the police say it's a one-way ticket to Sandworm Land for you.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was going to say, I'm thinking now, do you think the idea for the baby Beetlejuice and Beetlejuice, and maybe the whole lawlessness or lawfulness in the Neverworld or whatever, is inspired at all by this episode? Or am I reaching?
I think we're reaching. I would hope that they wouldn't go back to the like pilot cartoon for the inspiration for their new movie.
Listen, I still don't understand why we had that cop character, so maybe I am just reaching.
Agreed. So then we get a courtroom scene, which is feels very true to Tim Burton. The judge immediately like rules him guilty and is gonna like sentence him to like death by sandworm for all the damage he caused. But Lydia busts in and for some reason is dressed as a lawyer, but then immediately is like, this disgusting creep is my best friend and I'm gonna prove to you that he deserves a second chance. And I was like, well, then why did you waste time going and changing into a lawyer outfit?
Right. And also, isn't she in one of those like kind of British Parliament lawyer kind of get-ups?
The judge is in like a powdered wig kind of situation, but she's in sort of like I would say librarian outfit.
I was like, this is not what I would think a grown-up lawyer wears as a child. It was very strange in general.
Yes.
But yeah, I was like, what is the point of this? Because she basically just comes in there and says, like, give him a second chance. And they're like, nah. And they're like...
she doesn't say give him a second chance. She says, quote, he makes me laugh and he knows 101 ways to eat beetles. And if you let him tell you in his own words, you'll see why he deserves a second chance. And so then they do a musical number where they're like tap dancing and singing a song about how he's just like a little bit of a scamp.
Zabadoo-ba-ba-day.
Yes. And after that, the judge is like, still guilty, and like presses or the executioner like pulls a lever to open up a pit underneath Beetlejuice to the
Sandworm dimension.
Sandworm realm. Yeah. Which was cute. I mean, I like the sandworms. I think they're, like we said, they're like fun animated.
Yes. And it makes sense that Beetlejuice is terrified of them based upon his fate in the movie.
Yes. But for some reason, Beetlejuice doesn't have his powers around sandworms. He's like too scared, so he can't fly and stuff. And things get even worse when the big baby rips the roof off the courtroom, and the human baby goes like careening down into the sandworm realm and like starts pulling on the tail of the sandworms. And so this human baby that Lydia has drug into the afterlife is about to get eaten by sandworms, and she's like, "Save him, Beetlejuice, save him." And
the baby is tipping into Sandworm World, going to die.
Yes.
And she's like, "Oh, I hope Beetlejuice gets him."
Yes.
I hope this is going to be okay.
She says, "If you're the ghost with the most, prove it."
Yeah.
And tells him to save the baby.
Yeah, she just says like the lyrics to their little zippity bop dop boop boop song before about being the top dog and the big cheese. And
yes,
he gets like this creative burst to use his powers. Yeah. And
she hypes him up. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, she's being a good friend. She's got his back. I thought the powers were going to be like related to like the little words in the song, since that seems to be what they're trying to say, like the things he says he just turns into. So she's like, "You're the top dog, the big cheese." And I was like so expecting him to like turn into a big cheese or something.
Yeah.
It's very disappointed. He just kind of flies around and grabs the baby and just like flies out of the world.
Well, so I was just reading on the Wikipedia that the cartoon relies a lot on sight gags. So like, you know, when you're the top dog, you're the big cheese. In the song, he does change into those. So I feel like they wouldn't do it again necessarily.
Listen, make it make sense.
Apparently you disagree with me, which is fine. Oh man.
Oh gosh.
So he does save the baby, and this makes him an honorable ghoul according to the courtroom, and so he's free to go. And then we kind of conclude with their little anniversary party, their friendiversary party, where Lydia gives him my least favorite joke of the episode, a new pair of pants, which when he opens it is two little pairs of lips panting like dogs.
I loved that.
I hated that, but I'm not a big fan of puns. But he gives her kind of her, for the cartoon at least, the sort of iconic spider brooch that she always wears in future episodes, I feel like, which I liked that. And then she tells him, "Don't ever change." And he sniffs his armpit and says, "I won't."
All right, listen.
Okay.
Have you seen Labyrinth?
Yes, although it probably has been like more than 20 years. So I truly, I can picture it. I know it's David Bowie. I know the bulge, but I'm just not familiar with the story anymore at this point. But I do want to watch it again sometime soon.
The whole story hinges on the fact that Jennifer Garner doesn't want to babysit her little brother.
Oh, okay.
And wishes him into that the Goblin King would come take him away so she could live the teenage life that she deserves.
Okay.
And then that's when, the baby is taken by the Goblin King. This was giving me very equally bad babysitter vibes.
Yes.
To Labyrinth, getting the baby transported into a magical, dangerous world.
Speaking of bad babysitters, did you ever watch Adventures in Babysitting?
Yes.
I loved that movie. We should do that for a Patreon episode sometime.
Oh, yeah, that was a great one. I haven't seen that in so long. We have to do Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead, too.
Oh, of course. You know what? I think they rebooted that. I'm pretty sure there's a reboot.
Someone make it so that we could do an episode on it.
Okay, so let me just look at it. Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead. Yes, there's a 2024 film. Oh my god.
Is it out yet or coming out?
It was released on April 12th, so it's out. So we could do Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead for a rebooty episode.
Oh, that is very appealing to me.
Should we do that next?
Yeah, let's do it next.
Okay, all right. Okay, so our next episode will be the original Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead. That's fun.
That's a nice tonal shift.
Yeah.
You heard it here first, folks.
Does this have ratings on like IMDb and stuff?
It doesn't on Rotten Tomatoes, but it does have an IMDb rating overall. And it is at 7.3.
Wow. Okay. All right. Interesting. Huh. What would you rate it?
Listen,
before you give me a number, I think we need to decide something, because I think this is something we're going to encounter periodically, which is I feel like we're going to periodically review media that is not for us. Like this was clearly for children. Mm-hmm. And so should we review it and like adjust the score with that in mind?
Yeah, I feel like we can give our I was going to say, keeping in mind the type of media it is.
Audience.
It is a cartoon for kids. I'm not expecting cinematic mastery. I'm not expecting deep emotional connections and character development. So for what it is, I would say I would give it like a solid 7.
Okay.
7.0. I would say 7.0. It's pretty good. It was cute. I loved it growing up. I didn't see any problems. I just wish they would have had maybe some more of the characters in there from the movie.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. I think if they had kept some of the original characters from the movie, I might have liked it a little bit more. I'm going to give it a 6. I don't think it was terrible. I don't think it was amazing. I think the 6 is definitely adjusted for it being a kid's cartoon, because if it was based on my personal enjoyment of rating it, it would be lower than a 6.
Right, same.
But I'm adjusting it for the fact that it's a kid's cartoon. You know what? I'm going to be generous. I'll do 6.5.
Wow, beautiful.
Which I guess for both of us officially makes it a beauty.
I would say it's a beauty. I would call this a beauty, because there are some cartoons that were total flops from media that I loved. Yeah. Whether I watched them or not.
All right. Well, do you have anything more you want to say about the Beetlejuice cartoon?
I love the vibe. I love the artwork. I loved the journey back in time, and I really just loved the feeling of it being like an afternoon after school, hanging out, eating snacks, and closing my door and hoping no one bugs me. Yeah. So, I should have leaned more into that vibe, I think, because I watched it during lunch during a busy work day and was kind of cranky. I kind of watched it winding down for the night. Before Davey got home from work.
Yeah. Well, as we said, this I think concludes spooky season in the middle of November. Sorry, I know we had to take a break.
Yeah, listen, we all needed a break, so here we are.
Yeah, but our next one is going to be Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead, so watch along with us. I think probably we should say that as we head into the holidays, recording gets a little bit tricky just because of like travel and holidays and things like that. So, there might be a week or two here or there where we're not able to release a new episode, and we'll try to post about it on social media. So keep an eye out for that, but also just stick with us through the holidays.
Yeah, thanks for listening. And if you have any ideas, as usual, for any rebooty episodes, please reach out. I do see I got a message from a listener in my Instagram. I just saw it literally this week, so I will
cute.
Consider. Actually, let me look at what it was right now, and then maybe we can include it. I just saw I got one of those like message requests from someone I don't know. Okay. So, from a listener who we would use your name if we had permission, but I will just say, they said, "Hey Matt, long-time listener since Cool Story, started catching up on Rebooty, loving it so far, and would love to see you cover the movie Suspiria from 1977, and its reboot from around 2017, ? Or so. Basically the same movie, but done totally differently, and both from some of my favorites of the horror genre. One is in Italian, maybe possibly, or it's by an Italian writer. The later one is Tilda Swinton and Dakota Johnson in the remake."
Wait, Dakota Johnson of Madam Web infamy?
Yes. So I'm very curious about how that is, because I've actually never seen her in anything else to my knowledge.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting.
But I love Tilda Swinton. I skipped ahead a little bit because it's a a lengthy message, so for listeners out there not to listen to it, but love the message. I'll send it to you, and so we could put it on our list for sure.
Yay. Thank you. Yeah. And if you want to send us other ideas, I just added Suspiria to the list, but we're always open to more ideas. And if you do message us and you want us to read your message on an episode, which we will happily do, just make sure to let us know if we can use your name, because we don't want to, put your name out there if you don't want it out there. So
yes. And thank you for the suggestion, and keep them coming.
Yeah, totally. All right. Well, if you would like to help our podcast grow, the very best thing that you could do is to rate and review our podcast on whatever platform you're using to listen to our episodes. That really helps other people find and discover and listen to our podcast. So go and do that right now if you haven't already.
Yes. And while you're at it, another amazing thing you could do to get the word out is to recommend our podcast to a friend or someone you're in communication with regularly, because you have great taste, people respect your opinions, and they will listen to you when you tell them to listen to us.
Yes, and I mentioned our social media a minute ago. It is RebootyPod on Instagram and Twitter. You can email us at rebootypod@gmail.com. As we said, we love getting emails and messages, so send us a note, say hi, let us know if we can use your name.
Yes, and we also have a Patreon if you just can't get enough. You may have heard us in this episode say we want to do Adventures in Babysitting. We got a little babysitting theme there.
Yeah.
For our Patreon. We do a lot of movie reviews. We have a lot of archived episodes, tons of games and stuff. So check it out at patreon.com/N&Matt.
Also, if you want to support us in a smaller, lower commitment way, you could always buy us a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/N&Matt.
And thank you so much for listening to Rebooty and the Beast.
See you next week, I think.
Bye.
Bye.